Hi everyone. Let's continue our series about nutrition, and today I'm gonna talk about flexible dieting. Flexible dieting is a pretty straightforward concept. Like it sounds, the goal is to be able to live your life, eat some of the things you like, and still make the progress you desire. It goes along with balance and moderation. It's based on the things that you enjoy eating. There are no particular rules, except for some guidelines and caveats, and the number one rule, which is cico. Calories in versus calories out. So what is exactly flexible dieting? It's just like it sounds. No foods are off limits. The first thing you have to remember, and this is something you'll have etched into your memory long after you finish watched and rewatching these videos, because it's important, is that your diet is never ending. Your diet isn't something you start on day one and finish on a given day, and then you go back to your old ways. No. Your diet is a new lifestyle you decide to follow for the rest of your life, because it makes you feel better, more energetic, more healthy, and makes you live longer. Someone may solely see food as fuel, but it's too restrictive. In fact, for many of us, food is not just fuel for our bodies. There are lots of social aspects connected with food, and so flexible dieting allows you to take into account also those social aspects and plan your diet accordingly. Like go eating out for a birthday or a wedding, just to make an example. In my opinion, flexible dieting is great because it doesn't cut out specific foods or foods group from your diet. Also, I think that it can improve adherence, which is fundamental. Many people fail at diets due to their lack of adherence and ability to sustain the diet. No sugars, no carbs, no bread, no fats, the list can go on. All these super restrictive diets are very difficult to maintain in the long term. I like flexible dieting and find it to be the most sustainable nutrition strategy, not just for me, but also for many of you, because no food are restricted. You're only restricted by your macronutrient intake and your total calorie for the day. If you want something, you can have it as long as it fits your macros. You think about your macros as they are your budget, so you have to decide if you want a donut, which is high in calories, but it gives you some gratifications and perhaps allows you stay adherent to your diet, or you prefer having something else, maybe Greek yogurt or a bowl of fruit, which may be a little bit less enjoyable than the donut, but more filling, in terms of volume, for the same amount of calories. It's all up to you. You must find the approach that suits you best in the long term. Moreover, there are tons of ways to take the foods that you love and make them lower in calories, like for example anabolic ice cream, or maybe using air fryer instead of frying. On the internet you'll find tons of videos. Also, a very important aspect to consider is how much calories you have to consume daily to lose weight, what is previously called your budget. For example, if you are a male on a 2,000 kilocalories diet and you lose body weight, maybe eating a 300 calories donut may not be very difficult. You still have 1,700 kilocalories to consume, and you can have high fiber and high protein foods that are satiating and make you still feel energetic and prevent hunger. But if you're cutting to be shredded, or maybe you don't move much or you're a woman, and your daily calorie intake has to be very low, like 1,500 kcal per day, just an example, that 300 calories donut will have a much greater impact on the percentage of your calories, and it is not as satiating as fruit, although it may taste better. But when you're on a diet, every food is a lot more tastier, even vegetables, trust me. So eating that donut can be very hard in adherence perspective. A hint: incorporate more cardio into your routine, so you burn more calories during the day and therefore increasing your TDE, allowing you to eat more. However, just because you can eat anything with flexible dieting doesn't mean you should. In fact, the majority of your food should come from whole foods, nutrient-dense and low-calories types of food, because they carry a better quality of nutrients, both macro and micronutrients, to make you healthier. However, remember that restriction is temporary. Let me explain that. You prefer low-calorie dense food, especially during your weight loss phase, when calories are restricted. But once you reach your ideal body weight, your calories can be increased to your new maintenance level, allowing you to eat more and increase lean body mass without gaining body fat, and so, now it's easier for you to have also a donut without suffering hunger during the day. You see, you have perspective and you focus on the long term. For some months, or whatever the time it takes, you decide to not eat a donut every day, maybe only once or twice a week. But when you reach your goal, you are no able to eat a donut, a cookie, or ice cream every day without compromising your physique. Also, eating a donut, a cookie, a piece of cake, or whatever you like in moderation will not ruin you blood work, as someone would say. Recently, many people, or fitness influencer, have demonized carbohydrates or sugar consumption in your diet, saying that leads to diabetes, any other disease. That's not true. As long as you don't overconsume calories and exercise, a donut won't kill you. So sugar is not the devil. Also, drinking sugar-free soft beverages, like Diet Coke, that contain aspartame will not kill you. Guess, instead, who is going to kill you? Obesity will. I'll make a video on that topic, showing you the results of scientific research on artificial sweeteners. This might seem like blasphemy if you've been indoctrinated into the clean eating or never eat processed foods, because they will kill you. The reality is that processed foods are associated with disease because they are highly palatable and easy to overconsume. Thus, people eat more of them, consume more calories, and experience negative health effects due to overconsumptions, not chemicals. So, for example, aspartame is chemical, but the quantity contained in a can of Diet Coke won't harm you in the slightest. It's the quantity that determines the toxicity of something. You know you can die for consuming too much water, but you still drink it. So I'm not saying that you must eat processed food. No, that's not the point. You should eat whole foods because they are more complete on a nutritional standpoint, and also, they tend to pack less calories than processed food, and so you can eat more of them and have more volume and keep hunger away, especially during weight loss. Nevertheless, if you eat processed food, you will still lose weight if you consume less calories than you burn during the day. Also, flexible dieting has gotten a bad rap from people who believed it's a diet that promotes eating as much junk food as possible. In reality, it's more a nutritional strategy. It seems that a large part of this perception comes from people who post on social media pictures of all their treats using the hashtag flexible diet. Usually, the intentions are good, promoting the concept that you can be fit and eat bad food. But there are also posts that may be misinterpreted, like those 10,000 calories challenges done by fitness influencer on their channels. However, what is important for you is to understand that there are not good or bad foods. The reality is that there are food that are more caloric dense than other. There are no other labels. At the end of the week, if you ate on average less calories than you burn, you will lose weight, even if one day you ate 10,000 calories. Maybe, to stay in a deficit at the end of the week, you had to reduce calories during the other days of the week, while doing also a lot of activity. But if the calories out part of the equation is greater than the calories in, you will still lose weight. This example is not a way to say you should eat 10,000 calories, but to show you that what matters is energy balance. Also, there are a few other points to keep in mind when you see all this food porn. First of all, we don't know if the person in the post video actually ate what he posted. Many of them will edit their videos making you believe they ate all the food, while actually they just got a bite and throw the rest of it. Or maybe they throw it up after the video is over. Beware of fiction. Also, you don't know that person levels of activity, what his TDE is, or maybe Hesh didn't eat for the whole day before that meal or whatever. At the end of the day, is always the calories you eat against the calories you consume that determines the direction of your weight, going up, down, or stays even. Overall, I don't recommend to eat a lot of junk food, because it's going to be difficult to feel satiated on a fat loss diet. Eating high-calorie dense food. Thus, it's better choosing the majority of your foods with something filling, whole, minimally processed, such as vegetables, fruits, high-fiber source of carbohydrates, like potatoes. But, as I said earlier, that doesn't mean that you can't have a cookie or a donut, as long as you have budget for it. But rather than have it every day, you have it just once or twice a week, and the other days you eat a piece of fruit. Flexible dieting is acknowledging that you can lose body fat on more than chicken, rice, broccoli, and white fish. Flexible dieting is realizing that you can make your own decision when it comes to food. However, to get you started with flexible dieting, there are some guidelines you have to be aware of. Remember, this whole lifestyle and the process of developing it is about your health more than it's about simply being leaner, though the two are often associated. So, bearing this in mind, here are some rules. 1. Eat preferably low calories dense food and enough fiber. 2. Eat enough protein to encourage muscle protein synthesis. 3. Eat enough fat to keep your hormones in check. In short, flexible dieting is less rigid than other forms of eating. And there is evidence to suggest that flexible dieting versus rigid dieting yields fewer disordered eating behaviors, less concern with body image, and a lower BMI, body mass index. An advantage of flexible dieting is that you can combine it with almost anything else. If you want, you can do intermittent fasting or adopt keto diet. So what you have now is a list of some guidelines for flexible dieting. Take what I said in the context of everything you've learned so far. You know the factor that drives weight loss is a caloric deficit, and the other strategies I mentioned before are just mean to get you there. So while flexible dieting allows you to have few restriction, you still have to eat a certain amount of calorie to get to your goal. So now you have pretty good foundations about nutrition in general, and it's time to get more concrete on how to set up your diet and make it sustainable based on your body and preferences. Hope you like the video. If so, you can comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Let's go one more step.